I'm not willing to pay for a bride price. Chinese are really old-fashioned with the whole idea of having to pay the dowry for marriage. Like, I don't understand the whole thing about respect and culture and all that nonsense. You! These are some of the comments that I have been reading of foreigners regarding the whole idea of having to pay a bride price to getting married with a Chinese woman. Of course, some of the foreigners even watching this video or also in YouTube previously lived in China, as myself, paid for the bride price, even bought homes for the bride, and they were okay with that. But so many others that are not very familiar with the whole Chinese culture are very shocked and annoyed with the whole idea of having to save money, make money, pay money, and not even for the bride, but for the parents in order to let him get married with her. So I found a video which I thought it was very interesting and I wanted to share it with you guys. So let's listen to this video. This guy is very cute. I mean, it's so cute, his face. So let's listen to the video and we will discuss the comments after that.
In many parts of China, there is a tradition. Men should give money to the bride's family when getting married. This is called caili or bride price. The amount can vary a lot, usually ranging from 30,000 to 500,000 RMB, depending on what the bride's parents expect. It's a way to show respect and gratitude to the bride's family. But some modern families don't follow this tradition anymore and don't ask for any caili. But for those unfamiliar this custom, especially foreigners, they may misunderstand it as a scam or even a fraudulent marriage. So if you are planning to marry a Chinese woman, make sure to talk to her family and clarify the expectation about the caili. By the way, are you thinking about finding a Chinese wife?
So he was just very cute explaining the whole idea about why this caili has to be given to the parents because of gratitude and respect, and that the bride prices range from family to family. I've heard that is mainly because of cities difference. Anyways, he mentioned like it could vary from 30,000 to 500,000 RMB and so on and so on. So let's go down to the comment section where I've seen so many foreigners very annoyed by this subject, especially also the foreigners and Latinos following me in my Spanish channel where I have been also talking about these stories, and they're just really shocked and annoyed in disagreement with this idea of paying, although there are some that Latinos that have been married with Chinese and they are totally fine sharing their stories in the channel, and they themselves also have shared that they were asked at caili. Some of them did make it and pay it, some of them were not able to afford it, and they still somehow wish to get married with a Chinese, but they don't have the means. So let's go down to this comment section where we have mainly foreigners from like other countries, maybe first world countries. I've seen some here, Australia, and just people maybe living in China. And after that, we will go to the Latino section. So someone here just comments, it's not respect, it's buying a girl. This exact comment also happened to be in the Latino section comment, the Latino comment section in my video. So they basically have this idea that paying for the parents in order to get married with the girl they want is somehow similar to buying a person. When I first arrived to China almost 20 years ago, I myself also wondered and questioned whether this was okay, and somehow I thought it was a little bit too much or maybe unfair and very weird. Nonetheless, when the time passed, I got to understand more and more the culture, and somehow now I'm totally fine with it, especially being a Mexican woman. By the way, I'm from Mexico, and now I'm here in Mexico. nonetheless, I'm going back to China soon, so hopefully. I've seen so many stories and share with you guys also so many stories here in the channel. I mean, I haven't shared that many, but I have my Spanish channel full of stories, and I believe you can also get to listen to those stories with the YouTube translation, automatic translation. Those stories are mainly on my live streams in that channel. Anyhow, we have a lot of stories coming from women that, especially like Latinos, as Spanish speaking women, that were not able to protect themselves or to assure a future with these men. All of them are Chinese men. No matter they are Latinos, in that channel we mainly speak about Chinese, or maybe no, Latinas loving or heartbroken stories with Chinese men, and also Latinos with Chinese girls. 8 out of 10 stories are heartbreaking, like whenever there's a tragedy regarding he gets her pregnant and he just goes her, or he is playing with two girls, like those two girls somehow end up meeting each other because of my channel. They end up like finding information, looking for the information, they end up finding my channel. And it was very funny. Like one of the stories, there was this one time when one girl approached me and said like, hey, I just listened to the story you told today, and these characteristics of a guy just sound very similar to my Chinese boyfriend. And she got to be like FBI and got to search for that one girl that commented on my video, and she found her on Instagram, and then she found her business, and somehow the business was very nearby their living place. And oh my god, she ended up finding like they were dating the same guy and sharing the same Chinese guy, and he was a liar. Anyways, we have all kind of stories and dramas there. And what happens is basically what I see, of course, from my perspective, is that these guys come here and they believe it's just very free and open, as they say, because they claim us to be foreigners, very open, and they find the the land here to be very easy to just getting with a girl with very little to none effort at all, especially talking about like investing money. So they just don't have to prepare anything. They don't have to prepare any style. They don't have to even get married with them in order for some of them to agree to have their babies, which is just very nonsense to me. And so on and so forth. So we have all these tragedies happening because of all these Latino girls not behaving up to standards and having some respect for themselves, like self-respect, as well as like even lowering their standards to the point of like failing to themselves, just because they don't want to lose this Chinese guy because they are super hot and so on. Like now they're training in my country, Chinese guys. And comparing to this Chinese woman at the other side of the world, where they are expecting, where they have this very high, some even say not realistic expectations on what is that they want to receive in order to even get to be dating with someone or getting married, compared to the girls here having their babies and then later finding out that he is a married guy and that he was a liar, or that he's dating 2 or 3 girls at a time, or that he married them and ghosted them after. This story happened too with a Colombian. And it's just pure nonsense, So after all these scenarios, I am very somehow, from my own perspective, of course, everybody is free to give their own. I'm quite convinced that this silent thing is quite a good thing in order to protect yourself somehow. Although it might seem a little bit unfair, maybe, from the foreigner point of view, you are not even able to imagine all the atrocities that get to happen whenever the woman is just going for the love all in with a man, and these guys are not offering much. At contrary, whatever is that they are doing is like they just leave the whole women by themselves whenever they want with no real commitment, because there was no real investment and there is no real commitment. So at any point they can just leave, no matter they have even their children, no matter even they have like the marriage, like there was this one guy that got to get married with a woman here, but he was previously married in China. And there was this other guy who I also told this story in this channel, that he was previously married and had children in China. Nonetheless, he was dating this one girl that was so in love with him, and she was well aware of his situation. No matter that, he still got to tell her, like, I will be so happy to have my children with you, although I will not be able to take care of them. You can just take care of them because I'm gonna go back to China to my wife and my children. And she was so very flattered by this. Like, I was like, this is just pure nonsense. Seriously, if you girls will understand just this, like, what is the bare minimum in China, you could just be better off, anyways, by saying this, it was just a little bit of an intro of what are my thoughts regarding the issue, and that you do need to have this filter. Sometimes it's just better for anything that gets to happen. You are already, you are not just left there. Anyways, let's get down to the comments. As I was saying, some people think is buying a person. And then there's this other comment saying, that's old fashioned. I think what matters most is true love between the two, but tagging a price on your daughter is like selling her. There are many valuable things you can do for your in-laws more than the bride price. I do agree. Of course, there are so many valuable things. You can buy them a house. You can invite them to live with you. Yeah, for sure you will want that, right? Like, pay them for their insurance, their trips, whatever. Nonetheless, their doctors, their healthcare. This is just easy, setting a bride price, you are done, and that's it. I just feel somehow I'm very invested in this bride price thing, and I'm very convinced it's just a good idea, just to get over, especially to protect all these girls that are very. And I'm not talking about Chinese girls, because one of my last videos, you guys were saying I was defending Chinese women and I was a foreigner. No, but I do admire the Tsai or the bride price, and I would like this bride price to also be imposed in my country. I am sure that if that was the case, there will be very much less single women here, because they will have at least some standards, maybe if not the 500,000 or maybe at least a few thousands, in order to pass the test of like becoming a responsible father, and not just like run away after you get the girl pregnant. And also, I was discussing with the girls the whole idea of like, whenever a girl is like wanting to marry a foreign guy, just like in this case the video is talking about marrying a Chinese wife, you will be asked for a bride price. But my girls in the Spanish channel, all these Latinas that had been marrying or getting pregnant with the children of these Chinese men, previously married or not married, or lovers or whatever, they don't get to have this Tsai. So this Tsai or this home or all these requirements are just prepared for Chinese women. I don't know if it's because they require that, or it's because the women in Mexico do not require that. Maybe if they do, they will do it, or maybe therefore, and that's why the whole point of marrying a girl from here in Mexico or Peru or Ecuador, because you don't have enough for the Tsai, so therefore you come here and you can just get a girl without working that much or investing that much money. And at the same time, if you didn't invest that much and you didn't have that kind of commitment, you can just run away anytime, because everybody does it here. Like, any man does it here. Why wouldn't I can do it too. The girl will just deal with herself. They are used to that, so it's just very easy to just run away. And yeah, so my whole idea, it would be just a better place, I guess, if men Here I'm talking especially about Latinos, not you guys. Don't take it for like too personal. If you are from another first world country and you are a very hardworking man for your family or for your future, I'm totally fine with that. The thing is, like, it's not fine here, and of course it's the fault of the girls because they see they don't have much to offer. Nonetheless, they still let them inside their bodies and have their babies whenever they are like still no one in life to be responsible for. So it's a both parties' fault. But at least if you will get to understand these standards are somehow important, you will be filtering people better. Anyways, they don't do that here. So let's go to the next comment. It seems it's not a marriage, but parents are selling their daughters for money. If want a grown relationship, both families should support the boy and girl to have a healthy relationship despite of money demands. They can grow together. For your information, in many English-speaking societies, the bride parents pay for the wedding reception. Modern practice see both families sharing the cost. Actually, in Mexico, the like habit here is that the woman, I mean, in previous years it was very obvious for like countryside and all that, that the bride's parents, the bride father, will throw a very big and costly party. So that will be like a kind of saying goodbye to the girl, to the woman, and that will be his offering, the side of him saying, paying respect to the daughter and also gratitude towards the guy of getting married with her. So he will throw the party. The woman's side here in Mexico will be responsible to pay all the costs regarding the wedding. Still to this day, in most of the families is like that. Nonetheless, maybe it's less and less common to throw those like very big parties, or it's still common somehow, but in a different way. Before it was like a country very big wedding, and now it's like a very elegant and all that, social media kind of bragging the whole idea of having this and that for the wedding in order to post it, in order to have this kind of fun or all that jazz. Anyways, this comment, I do agree with that because it's also like that in Mexico. By the way, are you thinking about finding a Chinese wife? We don't look at our partner's passport and then we fall in love. So someone is questioning this guy because he mentioned like, are you thinking to find a Chinese, like if they are planning to do so, and then like first they will think about it and then they will go for it. So I guess for some it's like that because you are planning to go to China and finding a Chinese wife, and so for some it's like you're living in China and you end up falling in love. And then we have all this comment. This is called dowry. It should be explained in Chinese traditional culture. Once a woman is married, she is considered moving in to the husband's family name, physically and no longer significant in the family she grew up in. So, as a reciprocal gesture, the husband's family pay a dowry to the parents of the woman. But times have changed. Women are no longer a property of anyone. She's independent, a mother, a wife, a daughter, or a sister performing all these roles. Besides the many roles in the family like a doctor, a teacher, a psychologist, chef, dietitian. At the same time, as long as the dowry requested is not exorbitant, I think this tradition should be continued as a respect of and significance to the culture. It's just I do believe the same thing, and I also believe because of this dowry, the whole like society in China, like male force, is just pushed to work even more from like very early stage in your life. You are told like you need to get married, you need to have a house, you need to study good, you need to get in a university, therefore you can get a good job. If you're gonna get married, you need to buy property, you need to prepare. So when I was studying in China, because I studied in Shenzhen University, I heard a lot like students there were so very worried, which I don't believe putting that extra pressure. Chinese get it to the like they just take things to the extreme, but just having the idea of like they really romanticize this idea, not like us foreigners nowadays. It's very crazy because they believe we believe we romanticize the idea, or we kind of get married because we fall in love. But they fall in love even previous before getting like to see their spouse or getting to meet the one. They fall in love with the idea of getting married because they wanted to prepare a house for them. They wanted to prepare some resources in order to be able to get a family. So I believe this is quite very responsible from their parents as a man, as a like, you know, you were raised with this idea, and you were built as a man with this idea, and you work your life to get this goal, and you end up finding a wife. Of course, some are pushed to marry whoever without love, which I don't agree it's a good idea, as well as some others are just marrying out of pressure because they are left over, or it's too late, or they have to have children, and all this nonsense, which I do also don't approve. But the whole idea of being a man and preparing yourself to get a family and be responsible for your wife, for your children, I do agree with that. And I think it's very, like, somehow this culture of getting ready before you meet the one is very lacking here in Latin America. I guess you must be very well aware of this. Therefore, we have all these single mother and single children, like children without fathers, just running around like places, not just Mexico, also many other countries in Latin America. So people is bringing children here without being prepared, and like supposedly they are in love. So foreigners usually get into these discussions of the bride price and China to be very old-fashioned. And I'm not defending Chinese women or Chinese men. I'm just defending that there is an idea or a tradition that somehow, more than respect or gratitude, it's somehow a filter to be able or capable to be a man for the family. Like, here is the proof or the evidence that I am man enough to take care of a family because I have saved this money or I have made this money. Of course, we are not talking about exorbitant like amounts of money, you know, sums of money, but just like what you are capable of, and to bring that to the table and show your wife, not just the parents of your wife, but your wife itself, like, you are ready, you know, to take charge of a family. Not like here, like they are just running around. Supposedly, they criticize Chinese because they don't fall in love. They just marry out of pressure, out of phase, out of like being left over. They just married because they have to marry. And here, supposedly in Latin America, we are like Latin lovers. They're called us like that. So people here really gets to fall in love with people and get to choose their partners and get to marry whoever they want. But somehow, I don't see where are all those happy married couples if you get to find and choose your own partner, but you don't want to marry them. You just want to have children with them, and then after you just want to run away. Like as a man, you will run away because your love is over somehow. After you got those children and you loved her and you even like got to make love with her, but you somehow make up your mind, and once the children are born, you are just this fast gone, you know, with other women. I don't understand the whole idea of us choosing someone we love, supposedly here in the West. At least I'm talking about Latin America, because I know that in some other parts of the world it's quite different. But here I hear a lot of my like followers in my Spanish channel commenting regarding they don't have this freedom of choosing who they want to get married. Oh, they are just very like forced from a very early stage of life to get married. They don't want to. Us here, we have this freedom. We can choose who we want to love, who we want to get married with, who we want to kiss, who we want to whatever. What? Yeah, but it's just very irresponsible because somehow things are not working here, you know? Like there are so many children without parents and so many single mothers that are like just surviving. So there must be something that is working in China as well, in having all these filters to at least be able to have the pass for a responsible father. And of course, I'm not talking about other places in the world where you work and you know, get ready. And if you fall in love, you will get ready at that moment, or you are already ready. But it's not the case here. It's everywhere in Africa. Men pay bride price. Yes, the parents can demand a lot, but understanding parents will give you a privilege. What matters most is the manners and respect you show them. I also do believe that. For what I should look for a Chinese, why should I look for a Chinese woman? If a man must pay money for a woman, she will become a slave or a prostitute. The other way is what get the man if such money is required. I also read this comment in my Spanish channel with Latinos, like, if we pay for a bride price, if we pay for a bride, then we're gonna be having a slave. And I mean, I don't have anything to say in that, because like that's just an idea, but it's not the idea. Even, you know, guys, whenever in China they get married, even I believe sometimes the slave looks more like the guy is doing all the chores in the house, is bringing the money, is cooking, and she's quite having a good time, well rested, all that jazz. So the slave looks like it's not the woman. Anyways. And then there's this comment from a guy. It seems like he's from France. Well, it is a scam, but a cultural one. So maybe French guys will not get it, because I've heard that in France you make things like AH or like 50-50 and all that jazz. I'm not sure whether you guys do that there. Here in Mexico, we don't have this 50-50 like culture. It's not common per se. If you are really into a girl, you will get your resources to invite her out and treat her. But nowadays, you are just not that into a girl, and you can just get by because you are a 50-50 modern guy. So you will just enjoy the time with her without investing any money, and just leave her whenever you want, because it was just very easy to be with her, and it is just very easy to leave her. So no commitment, no relation, you know. So they have a lot of 50-50 nowadays here in Mexico, with the whole concept of like being modern and all that jazz. But there are also these men that are very willing to do a lot for women here in Mexico too. Why don't the women start paying the money? Not respect, it's just greedy wife and wife's family. And then their answer to this is like Chinese custom. Greedy, I believe some of them can be greedy whenever the bride price is just crazy nonsense, you know? And especially if you are seeing the counterpart, like the guy is just a very simple employee somewhere. Like, how can he come with this like exorbitant sum of money? It's just very nonsense. To be fair, I mean, talking about being on agree with the bride price is not the same as saying like the bride price can just be whatever. That is just being unfair, and I also don't support that. So you have to buy her, but what if she is not worth the value you have paid? Is there sort of compensation? Then that's your own responsibility as a man to first check upon like date and all that, like go out with her, get to know the girl, you know. I'm not sure, you know, like all these guys saying you have to buy her. Like, let's say you don't give that Tsai. In foreign countries, we still make things work. Like, let's say the guy has money and he will pay for a house and he will buy stuff. So still, things cannot work as he said here, but you already invested all that money in the house, in her clothes, in whatever. So what you will get compensated for? Like, I believe it's just very random questions. Ancestral tradition. This is so useless today. Someone, you know, it's a French guy. So I guess French guys are so very against this, or maybe Europeans in general. So I've heard in Europe it's very 50-50. And Mexico still not so, you know. It is a nice way to enrich themselves after the white boys work their hearts out. Then there is the divorce after 2 years. I paid off front, but my wife's parents just gifted it back to us later. Oh, he's so nice. Yes, more and more Chinese parents do that. I guess they also want to filter, they want to be like, is this guy really willing to marry her or just will try to quit the mission whenever we talk about money? He will just prefer to substitute her with the other one. If you divorce, will you get a refund? And then there's other like buying love. It's not just Chinese families that may expect bride's token. It happens in other cultures. It's something that may have started for good reasons, but should it continue? Placing a price on a bride, seriously, this is inhumane and very wrong. No one can compensate a father and mother for raising their daughter. A girl's parents should wish their daughter finds a genuine loving man. Anything else is like using the girl as a collateral to reimburse the parents' investment in the daughter. And this is very wrong. Married into a Chinese family, but they gave me 50,000. Okay. Take a loan to pay the dowry from a bank with the house you live with your wife as collateral. Your wife will be motivated to pay for the loan. Let her pay for her own dowry. These comments, guys, are just, I don't know what to say. Parenting is good business, but not their seats to the elderly. Is it possible to get a refund or return her in case she's defective? I don't think I like this tradition. What if the boyfriend is poor and can't pay? Well, this happens, therefore there are not many marriages in China. One of the reasons is that, and other reasons are like women are just evolving and don't want to marry because also they happen to have a lot of violence, domestic violence, like somehow in previous years, like just anywhere around the world, and they can study and work and travel, etc. But he's still really in love with their daughter. Okay, what if the boyfriend is poor and can't pay, but he is still really in love with the daughter? That's discriminatory. For me, the law of equal opportunities is right. A husband who is not rich does not mean that he is a bad husband and that he will not contribute to the family. His wife also works and contributes. In other countries, it is the wife who has to bring dowry, and without a dowry, she cannot marry. There are traditions that I respect, but they are traditions of the past, which should remain in the past. So basically, he doesn't think it's equal. And what happens to the Chinese poor men from countryside? I really don't like to use that word anytime. If you have heard to my videos, I don't use it. Anyways, if there is a guy that doesn't have the resources, sounds better, he will somehow find the resources, either with their families, like with a loan, either working harder, or he will just somehow try to marry someone from abroad. I have also told stories about Chinese guys getting married with like Vietnamese girls, like Thailand girls, Cambodia, Laos, all these Southeast Asian countries. And I have been telling stories about Chinese guys also coming here and marrying like Mexican women. Some Chinese, I mean, the ones marrying Chinese, like the ones getting married with girls from here are not really the very, like great status ones. Like, no, some of them are just working in restaurants. Some of them have low-income families in China and they come here as employees of like whatever project, not like engineers or that. So I do believe these kind of girls idealize too much, because I'm sure that they wouldn't date this kind of men, like this kind of Mexican men, but they will date and even marry this kind of Chinese men. And some of them have been just they have just resulted very trashy, because most of them of this kind, not all, like the entrepreneur businessmen, like the ones that have a career, Usually they have more successful cases because they are educated and civilized, and or some of them is just like they're married already. They're taken in China. Of course, if they have that kind of success, why will they be still single? Why am I still single? My wife's family were just glad to get rid of her. Now, 10 years in, I think they should have paid me. This is just too sad. Sell the daughter, really old fashioned. And wow, this is so cute. I put him, you're so cute. This is my comment, green girl. And he answered. He just answered, thank you. He's so cute. So, how does the bride price work when the bride is marrying a foreigner? This will only happen when the bride is divorced. Too expensive to marry Chinese woman. Not only that, after marriage they will just keep spending like no tomorrow. In Nigeria, we call it dowry. Every tribe in Nigeria do this before getting married. Even if you are married a foreigner, you are expected to come home to pay your wife bride price. Some tribes, like Yoruba, don't pay high price, but my Aijibo sisters pay so high. While the Northerners exchange both groom and bride pay the price, it is cultural and lovely. I wish Nigerian will forever keep it up. But up till now, they do it. No matter how rich or poor you are, it is a must. And then there is this other one. It is selling your daughter, but it also goes back to the bride and groom later. This was based on the acquaintances I have met and was told. Women families should pay foreigners because they are very happy with Western women. They're beautiful and elegant, definitely not Chinese. I will talk to her family so I won't get into a fraudulent marriage. Be very careful. A friend from Nepal is getting paid by the bride's parents for them to get married. Same in Turkey, but mostly left this one. Marriage is very hard. They should give guys money for getting rid of their hands. Parents will have to accept. Can Chinese marry Nigerian? Happy married with my Chinese wife for more than 20 years. There is much more to consider than Siley. Do not be unpleasantly surprised when you end up with mother, father, brother living with you. Exactly. There are other things that are real subjects.